You just said that compatibility might be as important as coachability with his staff, that he doesn't want to have to coach his coaches. What drew you back to Sean? Obviously, you wanted to get that head coaching job, you did well. What drew you back to back up to Sean?
I just think it was an easy match. I mean, obviously, having worked, for Sean for 3 years, having been under him, learned, we're on the same page with a lot of things. He mentioned the word compatibility. I would say the 3 years that I was with Sean, there was definitely that. Even when he left the Saints, he still had a big stamp on that organization. So we continue to do a lot of the same things, obviously, that he did when he was there. So familiar with the coach, familiar with the person. We always got along great off the field as well. So to me, it was an easy choice.
What are some of the things that you're looking for as kind of core traits for your unit as kind of a collective, and then as individual players?
Yeah.
For you?
Well, our biggest thing, we break every drill, break every meeting with the chant 111th, and that's really just an accountability thing. So, I think the biggest challenge for me as a special teams coordinator here with the Broncos this year is that, hey, the offense has been installed for a couple of years, the defense has been installed for a couple of years. We're going to change the scheme around a little bit. Obviously, every coordinator has their own nuances and whatnot, techniques, fundamentals. And so that's been the challenge for us here this spring is just kind of implementing all of our schemes, all of our fundamentals, all the teaching part. So when we get that back to training camp, we have a really good foundation. But it goes back to accountability. We're probably a little bit behind, in terms of install in relation to the offense and defense naturally. So we got to get caught up a little bit. And so then we hit training camp, we kind of hit the ground running. But our players have been great, both the vets and the young guys, really just catching on. You guys, you see the drills going out here. We just have great leadership in the group, and I really like the core that we have coming back.
How exciting is it to have Marvin Mims as a returner, and especially with a new kickoff rule moving out to the field?
Yeah, he's a player that I've always admired. We watched him from afar. Obviously played against the Broncos last year. Got a chance to study him. He's a guy that seems to show up on the plays of the week film every week. We would show our players great special teams plays from around the league. So I've always admired him. I remember him in the draft process because we had a high grade on him coming out. So now that get a chance to work with him and work together with him, and really excited. There's still a lot of things he can do. I don't know if this kickoff return rule is getting as much publicity as it should. I think it's really going to change the game for the entire league this year. We're going to see a dramatic increase in returns. You look back last year, if I'm not mistaken, he had single-digit kick returns, and people were just kicking touchbacks. This year, the analytics are going to tell you to put the ball in play, so I think he'll get more opportunities. I think the guy that's back there with him is going to get a lot of opportunities because they're going to try to play keep away from him as well. But he's been a great leader with our younger guys, and I'm really excited to work with him during the season.
You mentioned the guy back there with him, so does that really kind of change how you plan that? And then with that guy back there with him, kind of what skills are you looking for with that player?
Yeah, obviously, being able to field the ball. I think because the ball is going to be in play this year a lot, it may sound really fundamental, but fielding the ball is going to be critical because I think a lot of teams are going to try to do keep away, maybe hit some line drive kicks. So getting the play started is going to be really, really important. That player is obviously going to be a really good player with the ball in his hand. And that could come in a variety of ways, in a lot of shapes and sizes. It could be a downhill guy, it could be a make-you-miss guy. Marvin obviously is one type of dynamic. There could be a bigger guy, some of those running backs. So we're really doing a committee approach right now. We're trying to build a stable of guys that could be back there. And we'll kind of see how that plays out there in the preseason.
Jeremy talked about how he had a couple of lunches with you in the process. So when you met with him, kind of what impressed you about Jeremy?
Probably Jeremy the person, his maturity. A guy, it's not easy to come from another country and play in a sport that you've never played before. I mean, think about that. Here's a guy that came from Australia, went to an STC school, a top level college program, had a ton of success. His maturity level, he's kind of beyond his years, if you will. So that was when we were kind of evaluating all of the punters in this draft, and his name came up. I really feel like his intangibles, his off the field stuff was A+. Now, his talent level is tremendous as well, but I really believe that at that position, at the specialist position, your demeanor might be just as important as your ability, because you have to have it's a one play and done. You kind of have to have, the mentality of kind of a batter in baseball, if you will, or a golfer. You got to go on to the next swing. And I really like his level-headedness. I really like his maturity. I really like his approach. And getting to know him in the process was a big part of us drafting him. So that was pretty cool.
What were you hoping that?
You spoke at the NFL meeting about the kickoff. I guess just how involved were you with that process, and why was it important to you to move that starting spot up from the 30 to 35?
Yeah, listen, I've been fortunate. I've been on that committee now, the special teams committee, for 8 years now in the NFL. I'm fortunate to be the co-chair, and so I was very involved in the process for the last 8 years. When we put the rule in last year, we were the ones that presented it to the league, presented it to the owners, presented it to the GMs, head coaches. We presented the rule change again this year, and so that's been really cool to work with all 32 coordinators. It's been a collaborative effort. I just happen to be fortunate to be the voice of the group, but it's really been a collaboration of all the coordinators. We vote on everything together, we talk about everything together, and so that's going to be really fun to watch this year. The special teams coordinators group is unlike any other group in the league. It's like one of those groups where it's like a brotherhood. We want to kick each other's butt on Sundays for 3 hours, but after the game, it's this brotherhood that we have, and it's been really fun to watch. Listen, in my opinion, we've really helped the game of football. We've made it safer. We've made it more exciting for the fans. To get more returns this year and a lot less touchbacks is going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Last question.
What's the ceiling for Jeremy, kind of based on what you've already seen from him out here?
Oh gosh, listen, Jeremy's situation is never going to come back to talent. He is as talented as a punting prospect that I've ever had. Obviously, one of the reasons we drafted him, I felt very, very confident in that. He's had off to a good start. The thing with specialists, punter, kicker, snapper, returner, is consistency and having the ability to go out there and do it time and time again. But there's no doubt that talent-wise, he's certainly there.
Thank you.
Thanks, Darren.
All right, you got it, guys.